comes a moment in your life where no one can save you, not your friends, not your parents, not even your mentor. That moment is when you know what you need to do, but you're not doing it. You sit on dreams. You postpone decisions. You avoid discomfort. And day after day, that fire inside grows dimmer, not because you lack talent, but because you refuse to move. Let me tell you something uncomfortable, but true. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not knowledge. It's action. You already know what to do. You already know what needs to change. But knowing doesn't change anything, doing does. No matter how inspired you feel after watching a video or reading a quote, if you don't take action, it dies right there. Motivation is not something you wait for. It's something you build. And you build it by forcing yourself to move when you don't feel like it. Because the truth is, you will never feel ready. You will never wake up one day and magically want to take the hard path. You must force yourself to take action before you're comfortable, before you're confident, and long before you're ready. It's 5 a.m. You don't want to get up? Force yourself. It's cold. You don't want to run? Force yourself. It's scary. You don't want to speak up? Force yourself. Discipline is doing what must be done even when you don't feel like it. Because that's how you build confidence. That's how you build momentum. Action is the cure for fear. Action is the fuel for success. Action is how you tell the world and yourself, I'm not waiting anymore. Don't wait to feel motivated, because you might be waiting your entire life. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we'll act when we feel like it. That we'll start that project, hit the gym, make that call, or chase that dream once inspiration strikes. But motivation is fleeting. It's unreliable. And if your goals depend on how you feel, they'll never become your reality. Here's the truth. Action comes first, not motivation. Motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. Every single person who has ever accomplished something great didn't feel ready when they started. They didn't wait for a perfect moment. They acted, and through that action, the motivation grew. Think of it like a fire. You don't sit around waiting for warmth. You strike the match. You gather the wood. You build it. The warmth comes after the work. Too many people live in a loop of hesitation. They plan. They think. They overanalyze. They tell themselves maybe tomorrow, or I just don't feel it today. And day after day, their dreams collect dust. But the world doesn't reward thoughts. It rewards results. And results are born from action. When you move even in small, uncertain steps, you begin to shift your energy. You start to build something called momentum, and that momentum becomes the fuel for everything that follows. One tiny action, one moment of courage can break the chains of procrastination and light the spark of progress. The gym session you don't want to do turns into a routine. The email you don't want to send opens a door. The first chapter you write turns into a book. None of it happens unless you move. And the best part? Once you start, it gets easier. Not because the path becomes smoother, but because you become stronger. You prove to yourself that you're not controlled by laziness, fear, or hesitation. You are in control. You can force your body to move before your mind is convinced. You can take that step, even when your thoughts try to hold you back. And when you do, you'll notice something incredible. Motivation catches up. This is the difference between people who make things happen and people who only talk a big talk of making things happen. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not even timing. It's a simple decision to act, repeat it daily, especially when it's hard. You don't need to know how the whole journey will play out. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take that first uncomfortable, uncertain step. That's how you begin to change your life. Not with a plan, not with a dream, but with action. So the next time you're tempted to wait for motivation, remember this: motivation is a consequence, not a cause. It shows up after you move, not before. If you want to feel inspired, do something worth feeling inspired about. The moment you act, even a little, you shift your story from I wish to I will. And that shift is everything. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Move now. Force yourself to act. Let action be your spark and motivation your reward. You're not always going to feel like doing what needs to be done. That's a fact. Some days you'll be tired. Some days you'll feel defeated. Some days you'll want to avoid the challenge, delay the work, and give yourself an easy out. But if your success depends on how you feel each morning, you're already setting yourself up to fail. Because feelings are unreliable. They change with the weather, with stress, with mood, with outside circumstances. That's why discipline must take the lead. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. The most successful people in the world aren't superhuman. They just stop negotiating with their feelings. They don't ask, do I feel like working today? They ask what needs to get done today. That's the difference. Discipline doesn't rely on mood. It relies on commitment. It's a quiet promise you make to yourself and keep even when it's inconvenient, even when it's hard, even when it's boring. You can't afford to be ruled by emotion when you're building something meaningful. There are going to be long stretches where you don't feel motivated. You may feel tired, unappreciated, frustrated, but your dreams don't care. The mission doesn't change just because your mood does. You can either let your emotions dictate your actions, or you can use discipline to stay the course. Only one of those paths leads to real progress. If you think about an athlete training for a championship, there are mornings when their body aches, when the weather is bad, when the bed feels too good to leave, but they get up and train anyway. Not because they feel like it, but because the goal demands it. It's the same in business, in art, in relationships, in personal growth. When you let discipline guide you, you become unstoppable. You stop waiting for the perfect mood and start building a life based on your values and vision. It's easy to act when you're excited. It's easy to show up when everything's going your way. But the real test, the thing that separates the average from the elite, is how you show up when you don't want to, when no one's watching, when you feel drained, when you're tempted to quit. That's when discipline kicks in. That's when character is built. And over time, those hard choices compound into massive results. You have to make a decision. Who do you want in charge of your life, your feelings, or your future? Because feelings fade, but your actions leave a trail. Every disciplined decision is a deposit into the life you're trying to build, and every excuse is a withdrawal. The choice is yours every single day. So stop asking how you feel. Start asking who you want to become, and then act in alignment with that vision, whether it's convenient or not. Because the life you want won't arrive because you felt good one day. It will come because you showed up again and again through every storm, every doubt, and every excuse. Discipline over emotion, every time. That's the path to greatness. Most people wait for the stars to align before they start something. They wait until they feel completely ready, fully confident, perfectly prepared. But that moment rarely comes. The truth is, you'll almost never feel ready. And if you keep waiting for that perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. Success doesn't require you to be ready, it requires you to begin. Growth doesn't start with certainty, it starts with a decision. The people who achieve great things aren't the ones who waited until they had all the answers. They're the ones who acted while still figuring it out. Readiness is a myth. It's a safety net our mind builds to protect us from discomfort. We convince ourselves that more time, more research, more preparation will somehow eliminate the fear. But fear doesn't go away with more information, it goes away with action. Confidence isn't something you're given. It's something you earn. And you earn it by doing things before you feel ready. Think back to any moment of personal growth or breakthrough in your life. Chances are you weren't fully prepared. Maybe you were nervous, uncertain, or scared, but you moved anyway. That's the magic. Every time you take a step while unsure, you prove to yourself that you're capable. You become more resilient. You become stronger. You become more confident, not because you waited for permission, but because you acted without it. The most successful people in any field didn't start with perfect clarity. They started with a decision, a leap, a risk. They made the call. They took the shot. They stood on the stage. And most of the time they were terrified, but they did it anyway. And in doing it, they became the kind of person who could handle the challenge. The idea that you need to be confident before you begin is one of the biggest lies holding people back. Confidence is the result of experience, not a prerequisite for it. You get confident by showing up. You gain clarity by taking messy action. You become more prepared by stepping into situations that challenge you. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you grow. So stop waiting for more time. Stop waiting for the perfect mood. Stop waiting for all the fear to disappear. It won't. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to start. Take one step. Write the first word. Make the first move. Speak up, even if your voice shakes. Because once you do, you begin to build momentum, and momentum changes everything. That first imperfect step will teach you more than 1,000 hours of planning ever will. And once you begin, you'll realize that most of what you feared was never real in the first place. The challenge isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to be brave. Ready or not, the clock is ticking. Life isn't going to pause until you feel comfortable. The world doesn't owe you certainty. It rewards boldness. So start before you're ready. Act while you're still unsure. Take the risk. Embrace the fear. And trust that you'll become who you need to be through the act of doing. You don't need readiness. You need courage. You don't need guarantees. You need faith in yourself. And once you move, even trembling, you'll discover that you were more ready than you thought. We often underestimate the power of small steps. In a world obsessed with overnight success and dramatic transformations, it's easy to believe that progress only comes through massive, life-altering actions. But the truth is, big shifts begin with small, consistent steps, the kind that don't look impressive at first, the kind no one applauds, the kind that feel almost insignificant in the moment. Yet over time, those steps create unstoppable momentum. You don't need to leap across the entire mountain. You just need to take the next step in front of you. Success isn't built in a single day. It's built day after day through tiny decisions that compound. Wake up early. Write one page. Do one workout. Make one call. Each action on its own may not seem like much, but stacked together, repeated consistently, those small actions transform who you are and what you're capable of. The problem is, many people dismiss small efforts because they don't produce instant results. They want dramatic change, and they want it fast. But real growth doesn't happen in flashes of inspiration. It happens in the quiet moments when you choose discipline over comfort, when you push forward without recognition, when you show even when no one is watching. That's where your character is built. That's where your future is shaped. Consider how a river cuts through rock, not because of force, but because of persistence. The water doesn't pound the stone in one powerful hit. It flows over it again and again until the rock changes shape. Your actions work the same way. Repetition is your greatest ally. Every time you take that small, purposeful step, you wear down resistance. You silence doubt. You become stronger. You don't need to have a perfect plan or make giant strides. You just need to keep moving. Small steps done consistently are more powerful than big steps taken occasionally. Think of a bricklayer. One brick at a time. They build something solid. They don't try to place every brick in one day. They focus on one at a time with care, with intention. That's how foundations are laid. That's how greatness is built. And here's what makes small steps even more powerful. They're within your control. You may not be able to change everything today, but you can control your next action. You can control your attitude. You can control whether or not you show up and do what needs to be done. That's where your power lies, not in trying to force massive change, but in choosing steady, focused movement every single day. The real magic happens when you trust the process, when you stop obsessing over results and start valuing the effort, when you realize that every small win adds up, that showing up today and then again tomorrow builds resilience. That progress isn't loud, it's quiet, patient, and persistent. So don't be discouraged by slow progress. Don't discount the little things, because those little things, done with discipline and consistency, are the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. Every giant leap started with a single step, and every great achievement was once just a decision to keep going. Take that next small step, then take another. Keep showing up, Because one day you'll look back and realize that those tiny, unseen efforts were the very thing that changed everything. Comfort is one of the most deceptive traps in life. It feels good, safe, and easy, but it slowly robs you of your potential. Every dream you've ever had lives outside of your comfort zone. Every breakthrough, every goal, every version of you want to become it all requires discomfort. Yet most people will do anything to avoid it. They stay in routines that don't challenge them, relationships that don't grow them, and jobs that don't fulfill them, just because it's easier than facing the unknown. But growth does not come from ease. Growth begins the moment you step into discomfort and face the things that scare you. You weren't made for a life of safety. You were made to evolve, to stretch, to become more. And that can only happen when you lean into challenge, not away from it. Discomfort is a sign that you're expanding. When you feel awkward, uncertain, or afraid, it means you're stepping into new territory. That's a good thing. That's where transformation happens. Your comfort zone is not your friend, it's a barrier, a soft prison, a place where your dreams slowly die while you convince yourself there's still time. Think about this. Nothing extraordinary has ever been achieved from a place of comfort. Athletes push through pain to train harder. Entrepreneurs risk failure and rejection to build something real. Creators face criticism and doubt to share their vision. None of them felt comfortable when they began. What separated them from the rest was their willingness to be uncomfortable. They understood that discomfort is the price of progress. You cannot expect to grow and stay comfortable at the same time. The two are opposites. Every time you avoid discomfort, you reinforce your limitations. But every time you face it, you expand what's possible for you. That's how courage is built. That's how confidence is earned. You don't get stronger by avoiding the weight. You get stronger by lifting it again and again, even when it hurts. The fear you feel before stepping out of your comfort zone is a sign of importance. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't be afraid. But fear isn't there to stop you, it's there to show you the way. Discomfort isn't a reason to quit. It's a signal that you're on the edge of growth. And that edge is where the real you begins to take shape. Start small if you must. Have the uncomfortable conversation. Wake up an hour earlier. Try something you're not good at. Put yourself in environments that demand more from you. You will feel awkward at first. You will feel hard. But that's exactly the point. It's supposed to be uncomfortable, because that's how you grow. Too many people spend their lives trying to make things easier. But the goal isn't ease, it's evolution. The goal is to become so strong, so adaptable, so driven that what once scared you now fuels you. That only happens through intentional discomfort. So challenge yourself. Get uncomfortable on purpose. Make it a habit to stretch beyond what's easy. Because if you can learn to live outside your comfort zone, even for a little while each day, your entire world begins to shift. And you start becoming the person you were meant to be, not the one comfort wants you to remain. No one is coming to save you. That's a hard truth, but also a powerful one. The sooner you accept it, the sooner you can take full control of your life. Waiting for someone else to fix things, to guide you, to motivate you, to give you permission, that's a guaranteed way to stay stuck. The life you want, the change you need, the success you dream of, it all begins the moment you take full responsibility for it. When you stop blaming, stop waiting, and start owning every part of your journey. It's easy to point fingers. It's easy to blame your past, your upbringing, the economy, other people. And yes, some things truly are unfair. Life isn't always balanced. You may have started at a disadvantage. But what happens next is on you. Because responsibility doesn't mean taking the blame, it means taking control. It means saying, no matter where I started, I'm going to be the one who changes the ending. When you accept responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the author of your life. You realize that no one is going to push you to chase your dreams. No one is going to drag you to the gym. No one is going to force you to study, improve, or take action. That's your job. That's your duty. And the more responsibility you take, the more control you have over your future. A powerful life is built on ownership. The people who rise above, who overcome, who win, they didn't do it because someone handed them a map. They did it because they decided that they were responsible for where they go from here. They didn't wait for motivation to strike. They created their own. They didn't wait to be rescued. They rescued themselves. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be. Taking responsibility means doing the hard things when you'd rather avoid them. It means making decisions without always knowing the outcome. It means showing up day after day when no one claps for you. It means doing the right thing even when it feels like no one notices. But this is where your real strength is built, not in what you're given, but in what you take responsibility for. You can choose excuses or you can choose progress. You can keep waiting for things to change, or you can be the one who changes them. That doesn't mean you won't need help along the way, but it does mean you're responsible for seeking it, asking for it, and applying it. You're responsible for how you respond to adversity, how you show up each day, how you treat others, and how you treat yourself. And here's the truth: when you truly take responsibility for your life, it becomes incredibly empowering, because you no longer depend on external forces to feel in control. You realize that your choices, your habits, your actions, they are shaping your life right now. That you can rise, that you can rebuild, that you can become whoever you choose to be, starting with the decisions you make today. So stop waiting. Stop hoping someone else will do it for you. No one else can live your life for you. No one else can fight your battles. This is your life, and you are responsible for what you do with it.